How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to give some extra care to an orchid that's just finished blooming. Even though the flowers are gone, the plant itself still has plenty of life left in it. And with a little homemade fertilizer, we can help it regain strength and prepare for the next round of blooms. Let's get started. What I have here is an orchid that's been left out in the open for quite some time now. The leaves are drooping downward, and while the green color might look fresh at first glance, that's only on the surface. If you take a closer look, you'll notice the leaves feel soft and lack firmness, a clear sign the plant is struggling internally. This usually means the roots aren't doing their job properly, either from dehydration, rot, or exposure to the elements. Upon closer inspection, you can see the leaves aren't as healthy as they first appear. Some of them have faint wrinkles forming along the surface, and when pressed, they bend too easily instead of holding their shape. This tells us the plant isn't getting enough water or nutrients from the roots. Let's start by carefully removing the entire orchid from its old pot. First, gently squeeze the sides of the pot or tap the bottom to help loosen the root system. Avoid pulling the plant out by force, because if the roots are clinging to the sides, you might accidentally snap them. Once the orchid slides free, you'll notice that the old substrate, whether it's pine bark, moss, or a mix, is tightly packed around the roots. Slowly begin removing it with your hands, one piece at a time. It's best to use a gentle touch here, because some of the roots may already be fragile or hollow from decay. If you find pieces of bark that are really stuck, you can lightly shake or rinse the roots with water to loosen them instead of pulling. As you work your way through, keep an eye out for any unusual smells or slimy textures in the medium. These are common signs of rot and poor drainage that have been suffocating the roots. After we've fully removed the substrate, let's take a minute to carefully inspect the plant's condition. Right away, you can see that some of the roots look thin, hollow, and almost papery to the touch. These are roots that have already died off and can no longer take in water or nutrients. Others may appear dark brown or even black with a mushy texture, a clear sign of root rot caused by excess moisture being trapped in the old medium. But not all hope is lost. Mixed in with the damaged ones, you might spot a few roots that are still firm and greenish or silvery in color. These are healthy and alive, and they're the key to reviving this orchid. The leaves, while droopy, are still holding on, which means the plant is signaling that with the right care, it can bounce back. Now we're going to use a pair of shears or scissors to trim off any dried or damaged roots. Before starting, make sure your cutting tool is sterilized. You can wipe it down with rubbing alcohol or briefly heat the blade over a flame. This step is very important because orchids are vulnerable to infection, and we don't want to introduce bacteria or fungus while trimming. As you go through the roots, focus on removing anything that looks hollow, shriveled, mushy, or blackened. These roots are no longer functional and only drain energy from the plant. Cut them away with clean, precise cuts, working slowly to avoid nicking the healthy roots nearby. A good root should feel firm when you press it lightly and will usually appear green or silvery. Keep those intact, as they're still capable of absorbing water and nutrients. It's normal if a large portion of the roots need to be removed. Even a handful of healthy ones are enough to support recovery. Next, we're going to proceed to clean the orchid with a gentle water spray. This step helps wash away any debris, lingering old substrate, or tiny pests that may still be hiding around the roots. Use clean, room temperature water and adjust the pressure so it's not too strong. We want a soft mist or a light stream rather than a harsh jet that could damage the tender roots. As you spray, rotate the plant slowly in your hand to make sure every side of the root system is rinsed. Pay special attention to the base of the stem and the crevices where bits of bark or moss might still be stuck. You'll notice that the healthy roots turn a nice greenish hue once they're hydrated, while the weaker ones remain dull and lifeless. This gives you an even clearer picture of which roots are truly viable. After rinsing with water, it's also crucial to clean the orchid using a soft handkerchief or clean tissues. This step may seem small, but it makes a big difference. By gently dabbing around the leaves and stem, you remove any remaining moisture that could sit on the surface and cause fungal spots later on. When wiping the leaves, move in one direction, from the base toward the tip, rather than rubbing back and forth, as this reduces the chance of tearing or stressing the leaf tissue. If you notice any dust, sticky residue, or pest marks, carefully wipe them away as well. The tissues also help absorb excess water around the crown and root joints, which is one of the most sensitive areas prone to rot. Next, grab yourself a ripe banana. Go ahead and peel off the skin, and don't let the fruit go to waste. You can enjoy it as a light snack while you work. The real treasure here is the peel, as banana skin is loaded with potassium, phosphorus, and natural enzymes that orchids absolutely love. Once you've separated the peel, use a clean knife or scissors to cut it into small pieces. The smaller the pieces, the easier it will be for the nutrients to break down later on. Think of it as creating bite-sized portions that your orchid can absorb more quickly. After you've finished chopping, place all the banana peel pieces into a clean jar or container. Along with the chopped banana peel, add in 1 teaspoon of coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are rich in nitrogen, magnesium, and a touch of potassium, all of which helps stimulate strong leaf growth and overall plant vitality. Just be careful not to use too much, because excess coffee can make the mix too acidic for your orchid. Once the coffee grounds are in, carefully pour about 1 liter of boiling water into the jar or container. The hot water will help break down the banana peel more quickly, softening the skin and releasing all of those nutrients into the liquid. Now, take a clean spoon or stir stick and give everything a good mix. Make sure the banana pieces and coffee grounds are evenly distributed. Once everything is mixed together, close the lid of the jar tightly to keep the steam and nutrients locked inside. After that, wrap the jar in a clean towel. Now all we need to do is let the mixture rest for about an hour. After about an hour has passed, carefully remove the towel and open the lid. You'll notice the warm, earthy aroma from the banana peel and coffee grounds blending together. That's a good sign the nutrients have been released into the water. Give a mixture 1 quick stir to make sure everything is evenly coated and none of the compounds are sitting at the bottom. Now, place a strainer over a clean container and slowly pour the liquid through. This will help separate the fine fertilizer solution from any leftover particles or large bits of banana skin and coffee grounds that didn't fully break down. What we're left with is a smooth, nutrient-rich liquid that's much easier for the orchid to absorb. Removing the solid pieces also prevents them from rotting inside the pot later on. Next, take a clean tissue and dip it into the solution, letting it soak thoroughly until it's evenly damp. You don't want it dripping wet, but moist enough to hold onto the nutrients. Once it's ready, gently brush the tissue across the surface of the orchid's leaves. Start from the base and work your way upward toward the tip, following the natural lines of the leaf. This helps spread the solution evenly while also wiping away any lingering dust or residue that might be blocking the pores of the plant. Be sure to coat both the top and underside of each leaf, since orchids also absorb moisture and nutrients through their stomata underneath. The gentle wipe not only nourishes but also refreshes the plant, giving it a subtle shine and healthier look right away. Now grab a large container and carefully place the orchid inside, making sure it sits comfortably without being squeezed or bent. You want the roots to have enough room to spread out naturally. Next, slowly pour the prepared solution directly into the container until the orchid's roots are fully submerged. Take your time with this step so the liquid flows evenly and doesn't cause the plant to shift around too much. The goal here is to let every root absorb as much of the nutrient-rich solution as possible. Once everything is in place, leave the orchid soaking for about 30 minutes. This gives the roots plenty of time to drink in the natural fertilizer, restoring hydration and supplying the energy it needs to recover and grow stronger. After 30 minutes, carefully lift the orchid out of the solution. You'll notice the roots look fresher and slightly plumper, showing that they've absorbed the nutrients from the soak. This is a good sign that the plant is starting to take in what it needs. Now take a clean handkerchief or a soft tissue and gently pat the plant dry. Pay special attention to the leaves and crown area. Removing any excess moisture helps prevent rot while still leaving the plant hydrated. Be gentle with this step, since the roots are at their most sensitive after soaking. Now we're going to focus on protecting the orchid from any infections that could develop after trimming. Whenever you cut away old or dried roots, you leave small open wounds. And just like with people, those open areas can be vulnerable to bacteria or fungi. To prevent that, we're going to use cinnamon powder. Cinnamon is a wonderful natural antifungal and antibacterial agent. It helps disinfect the wounds while also forming a kind of dry seal over them, so that no unwanted moisture or rot sets in. Take a small pinch of the cinnamon powder and gently rub it onto the freshly trimmed ends of the roots. You don't need to cover the entire root system, only the parts where you make cuts. Make sure to apply it lightly and carefully. A thin coating is enough to protect and seal the wound. Avoid dusting the cinnamon all over the healthy roots because too much can actually dry them out. Think of it like applying a bandage, just a precise touch where the plant needs it most. This step may seem small, but it plays a big role in giving the orchid a chance to recover smoothly and safely. As for the remaining solution, don't let it go to waste. This mixture is full of nutrients that other orchids around your garden will absolutely benefit from. Start by dipping a clean tissue into the solution, making sure it soaks up enough liquid. Then, gently rub it across the leaves of your other orchids. This does more than just feed them. It also helps clean off any dust or residue that may have built up on the leaf surface, allowing the plant to breathe better and absorb light more efficiently. Move slowly and carefully, leaf by leaf, so you don't miss any spots. Not only will this give your plants a healthier shine, but it also acts like a natural tonic, boosting their strength and resilience. Over time, this kind of gentle care can encourage stronger growth and even improve the chances of getting more vibrant blooms in the next flowering season. Now, pour the solutions into a clean spray bottle. This will make it easier to apply evenly without wasting any drops. Once filled, gently mist it around the orchid, covering both the leaves and the surface of the growing medium. Make sure you spray lightly, just enough to leave a thin layer of moisture, not to the point where water drips off. Misting this way not only gives the leaves an instant boost of nutrients, but also creates a refreshing environment around the plant, mimicking the kind of humidity orchids naturally love. For best results, try to spray in the morning or early evening when the sun isn't too harsh. And finally, you can pour the remaining solution directly into the orchid's pot. Slowly and carefully pour around the base of the plant so that the liquid seeps down evenly through the growing medium. This ensures the roots get a deep drink of the nutrient-rich mixture, allowing them to absorb all of those beneficial compounds we've prepared. By feeding the plant this way, we're not only hydrating the roots, but also giving them direct access to the nutrients that will strengthen new growth and support healthier leaves in the weeks to come. Just make sure not to flood the pot. Steady, moderate watering is enough to keep the balance between moisture and air circulation in the root zone. Now let's prepare a new home for our orchid. Start by choosing a pot with clear drainage holes at the bottom. This is very important to prevent water from collecting and causing root rot. Place a thin layer of pine bark at the bottom as the base, then carefully position the orchid right in the center of the pot. While holding the plant steady with one hand, begin to slowly fill in the pot with more pine bark. Add the bark a little at a time, gently shaking or tapping the pot so the pieces settle around the roots without leaving too many air gaps. You may need to use your fingers to guide the bark around the plant, ensuring that the orchid stays upright and stable. Take your time here. Proper placement is key to helping the orchid adapt quickly to its new environment. Next, cover the top layer of the pot with a layer of fresh moss. This moss will act as a protective blanket, helping the pot retain just the right amount of moisture while also keeping the roots cool and shielded from direct sunlight. Make sure to spread it evenly across the surface, but don't pack it down too tightly. You still want air to circulate freely. The moss also adds a neat finishing touch, giving the orchid a clean and natural look, almost like it's growing in its natural forest environment. After about 4 weeks, you'll begin to see noticeable improvements in the orchid compared to when we first started. The leaves, which once looked limp and lifeless, are now standing more upright and feel firmer to the touch. The color has also deepened into a healthier shade of green, showing that the plant is actively pulling in nutrients and photosynthesizing again. If you take a closer look at the roots, you'll notice they're no longer dry or shriveled. Instead, some have developed a slight plumpness with healthy shades of green and silvery white, which is exactly what we want to see. It means the roots are hydrating properly and storing energy. In certain spots near the base, you may even see small new roots beginning to poke out, searching for space to anchor themselves into the pine bark. The moss layer we added on top is also doing its job well. Not only is it helping to retain moisture around the pot, but you can see it creating a more natural microenvironment that the orchid is clearly benefiting from. Overall, these changes are proof that the routine we've been following, brushing the leaves with the solution, misting regularly, and giving the plant a clean, airy substrate, has helped the orchid settle into its new home. From this point onward, consistency is the key. Place the orchid in an open, well-ventilated area where it gets bright but indirect sunlight, as too much harsh sun can undo our progress. Stick to a light watering schedule, allow the roots to breathe, and continue using the homemade fertilizer as part of the routine. And there you have it, orchid lovers. From a struggling plant to one showing real signs of recovery, all with the help of simple homemade ingredients. I hope you found this video useful and maybe even inspiring for your own orchids at home. If you enjoyed this guide, don't forget to leave a like, share your own tips or experiences in the comments below, and of course, subscribe if you're new here so you don't miss out on more orchid care videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy growing!